JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Thursday, November 13th, 3:31 on this fine afternoon. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P in the red, down about 1.75%. Small caps down over, well, they were nearly 3% earlier. Oh, exactly 3%. Right as I speak, IWM is. It's and then Nasdaq's down over 2%. And then you have the Dow trading on its own plan. Actually, it's down 1.7%. But no major news or catalyst, right? Just whatever headline you read, it's rotation out of tech. I mean, all the indexes are down, so it's not just rotation out of tech. The AI bubble. It's funny. It's almost like deja vu all over again, like Yogi Berra. Last Thursday around this time, I'm doing a rant, and the S&P was down 1%, so or at least it closed down 1%. So we're having a similar setup. Last Friday, so we had the Thursday sell off 1%. Friday we had the reversal. Well, hit the lows, broke under the 50-day on the SPY, and then had to bounce, and then we rallied for the next 3 days. Are we gonna have a similar setup here, or are we gonna test and then break? So I hate to say I'm open to either scenario. I can't rule out either part there, right? And I was thinking about this morning. I keep saying that this AI bubble banter has been going on for a couple weeks or longer than that. And it's like if it was really that bad, you would think the market would have priced it in, or have we be in the stages of some major, bigger pull than we've been in. So maybe we are in a bubble and it's starting to price that in. I can't rule out those scenarios, but I think one scenario is that we have legs to go on the rally, right? And maybe those like the AMD, Lisa Liu, whoever you pronounce her name, like Cindy Liu from the Grinch. Sorry about that, folks, but maybe she's right with regards to all those, all these other CEOs that have come on. Next week, though, we'll find out, right? NVIDIA earnings Wednesday should be interesting, but also, we'll see how today, tomorrow, and then through the weekend and next week all pan out before we get to Wednesday. So that's kind of the overall market. I keep being open to both sides of trade, because if you haven't been open to both sides, you've either, whether you're all bearish and in the puts, you've probably got killed most of the majority of the time. And then if you're not open to downside and you're all in calls, painful. So good to be open to both sides of trade. Unfortunately, some of the trades I'm in, I'm taking some like the Solar Edges, the Lemonades, the Rokus, the Reddits. I'm taking profits, riding freebies, taking more profits, and then you have days like today just demolish them. So, some of those trades. I mean, Solar Edge was really nice trade, but it could be even better if we had some follow through. So disappointing, but at the same token, that's why you get the puts too. You got to take advantage of the downside. All right, so 673 was a big spot on the SPY. I was hoping we were going to break and maybe find some kind of bid. That hasn't happened yet. It's almost like I feel like we're like a fish out of water, and it's not struggling to find the water again. It's just sitting there. It's like I want to see markets find a little more, I guess, more buyers. I don't know how to put it, but I was hoping for some kind of bounce since the noon hour. That hasn't happened. So next 26 minutes can be probably dictate what's going to happen overnight. Are we going to have continuation, or are we finally going to bounce? I love gap down days on Fridays and reversals. If we have a similar setup tomorrow as we did last Friday, I mean, that would be my ideal scenario. I hate to see more downside, but pull out get up more of the froth, wash out some of the folks, and then bounce. That'd be ideal scenario. But then now you have the 50-day moving average sitting right there. Was it 666? Is that what I have? I have to look. 667.62. So maybe we come down to that again. I'm sure you can hear all that chatter as well. Difference today than last Thursday's yields are rising. So don't want to see yields get too much ahead of themselves. Also, you already have some of the headlines now is that the market's pricing less than a 50% probability that the Fed's going to cut rates at the next meeting, December 10th. I don't think that matters too much. We've seen that fluctuate like the wind, right? I mean, sometimes up to 90%, then it's back down to 50. I think it's pretty much a done deal that they cut rates. If you don't, I think there'll be some serious market reaction to that. All right, so that's overall market. Quick on individual names. So, ABH, I have so many mottos over the years. I probably should get a t-shirt so that and trademark it before someone takes it, but always be hedging. SanDisk, I can't think of a time or a scenario where I was able to get 1,000% or more on the calls last week and close to 1,000% on the puts today on the same name within a matter of a week. Remarkable stuff, right? Remarkable for a couple of reasons. Obviously, to have an underlying stock to move enough to make those percentage gains is remarkable all by itself on any given day, right? And then not only that, then to have it on the same name in different directions. So just crazy stuff. But thankfully, opportunity presented itself, and I was able to take advantage of it. But I wasn't coming into this week looking at puts on SanDisk, right? I mean, it's a name, and I remember when it was like 120 or 140 or whatever. I'm like, this is either going to go to $200 or it's going to go to 100 because it's like this is price discovery at its finest. People still trying to figure out how much longer these names have to run, how mispriced they are, what's so. In that whole storage space, I think it caught a lot of people off guard. And here's a name since the start of September. It's like someone hit a button, it's like, oh, storage, undervalued names, SanDisk, and spin off from Western Digital. So I don't know if it's kind of like being under the radar, and then finally, once it came to the attention of the investment community, it went bonkers. But needless to say, has been creating some nice opportunities. Played it for that smash up after its earnings last week, and then just watching again this week. And I was saying it this morning. It's like a proxy for risk on, risk off, and not for individual names, but to me for the market. I'm like, if SanDisk is able to rally or at least hold its gains, you probably have to think that maybe the market's not going to roll over. Today was a different story. Just couldn't find a bid. I was looking at the puts in the pre-market, and I think it was like the 245s. They might have been like 80 cents, but then it gapped at the open. So very hard to get some decent risk reward strikes. And I'm watching it. And then I'm like, let me just get some inexpensive, quick puts while they're inexpensive. And some of these names that move 10, 15%, it's hard to find strikes that are 25, 30 cents. And at times, right at the open, the 225s and the 230s were inexpensive. I tried to get a fill, finally got those 225 puts. And, within a matter of, I don't know how long it was, they were already up 50%, but some of it's because of the volatility at the open. And then it started to dip. I took some out for close to 100% to cover costs within about 15 minutes. Then it chopped around, right? And then SanDisk bounced. I think it was like 270. And I'm looking like the 230s are now, they were like 60 cents. And in hindsight, maybe I should have went and got those. But I didn't. And instead, I went and closed the Netflix calls. And then I went and got those ASML puts. And then, boom, we start to resume to the downside. And then the rest is history. And I just kept locking the SanDisk on the way down. Down 13%, down 15%. I locked some out for 100 and 200. And the last little block was close to 1,000%. The reason I closed them out, and one of the thoughts was I was going to close out the rest of the 225s and then get some FOMO 215s just in case. But I'm like, I mean, I don't know how much further it can go. And then it's like, I'd probably be best suited finding some other strikes on other names that are less expensive because the volatility is already built into the stock. So that's why I didn't revisit. Sure enough, it's bouncing here. So just a crazy trade. I was put in the chat room earlier today. It was like down 10%, but it was still up 5% on the week, right? And it doesn't mean I was bullish or bearish. I mean, to me, it just meant that, hey, there's more juice, there's more meat on this bone that might need to be eaten, and that's what happened. All right, so thankful to have that trade, and then the ASML is just another name from last week as well. It's a name I followed over the years. It's a great story, by the way, and probably continues to be a monster story. It's just the options sometimes aren't pricing in a big move, and when it does have an outsized move, the puts make lots of money. So similar setup to last week. Got some instead of getting the 990s, I got the 980s. I was able to lock some in for 100%, 200%, and then 400%, and just have a couple into tomorrow. Won't take much. If it opens under $1,000 tomorrow, if we have some gap, the rest of those puts going to be up close to 1,000%. So I'll continue to hold those. Also, if you look at ASML, it's a pincher. So not a pincher, excuse me, tight Bollinger Band. So it typically precedes a large move, whether it's to the downside, maybe an opportunity for upside, I don't know, something to pay attention to. So that's ASML. And the other thing with these Thursday and Friday sell-offs is the premiums, right? If this sell-off came on Monday, I'm not going to be able to get the ASML 980s $70 out of the money for what I got them for. And that sounds crazy, $70 out of the money, but it is what it is. All right. So that's that. And then last, towards the end of the afternoon, I'm looking for other inexpensive names that don't have as much premium built into the puts. And, I think Palo Alto reports next week on the same day as NVIDIA. So I'm looking at Zscaler. Zscaler is a name I traded. I don't know if it was last year, the year before. I think it was $100 or $200 stock. Maybe it's 2022. But that one's been on a big tear. And, I don't even know, I don't have the chart here. But it's coming back close to its 50-day moving average. I was looking for 300 puts. Here they are. And you look at the 50-day moving average right there at 304. And I'm like, if this breaks 304, it's going to break under $300. And I'm looking like 297.50s look interesting on a risk reward basis. So I got some of those, locked some out for 100%, and then I'll just hold the rest into tomorrow. So now I have no risk on in regards to the puts, right? The freebies with plenty of profits. And then I can look for some call bounce plays into the end of the day. And I keep looking at Netflix. So I locked those 1,200 calls early this morning. not for any other reason than I just want to take risk off and take the profits because it's already been profitable trade from yesterday. And the other thing is the premiums that weren't moving much. And sure enough, I closed it out and it spiked right to 1170, but that was it. 10 o'clock hits 1167 or so, and it's been chopping around ever since. I was looking at the 1195s earlier just a little while ago, but I'll probably just sit on my hands. Doesn't make sense to chase anything for a bounce. And not only that, it's not like Netflix is flat on the day. It's down a tenth of a percent. So it's not like I'm trying to play a big bounce on Netflix, right? So if it was down 2-3%, maybe I would look to get the calls. But since it's not, I'll probably just sit on my hands on that one. Maybe I'll visit it tomorrow as a possible lotto play. And SanDisk is bouncing here, up 10 off the lows. So maybe we get some life here in the SPY close over 673 with 672.77. I think that's it. If I don't get the Netflix calls before the close, that's probably going to be the last trade for today. And then tomorrow, we'd love to see a gap down right at the open. I close the last of the ZS and ASML puts, roll into some calls for a bounce, and then have another rocking day tomorrow. That'd be spectacular. And then just again on the flip side, some of these names like the solar edges, I don't, these big down days, and a lot of these energy names are taken on the chin. You see Bloom Energy's down 15%, 17%. The nuclear names all get taken on the chin. It's unfortunate. It just comes with the territory. But I still don't think the days are over for Solar Edge. I still think it trades back above 48. So I'll be patient there. Also this morning, as much as I'm itching to get some more calls on Serve Robotics. I'm just going to wait, right? I mean, it could be $20 in January. It doesn't mean it can't. The sellers can't just hold it down. So I'm not going to try and force the trade just because I think it deserves a different valuation. And that's it, folks. Have a great day. I'll be back rocking.